right now.
Right now.
Because it's time to write now.
Right now.
Right.
Right now.
Right now.
Right now.
Right now.
Right now.
That was 3 times.
Welcome to our next Right Now Writers group. Welcome back, my friends. Hopefully, you're ready to join us on some writing today. Meeting 58, as we chill and hang out with other writers in the community. Writers group is always a fun one. For those of you who are new, welcome. This is our weekly writers group where we meet same time, same place, 4 Pacific, 7 Eastern, and we chat all things writing. If you're wanting to get some work in, we're going to do a couple writing sprints today. This is your perfect virtual writers group. So, we are joined by other writers in the community. If you want to join us in a future session, you want to hop on stream with us, just let me know. We'll include you in the invite. Welcome everyone to the stream. Megan, Whiteseer, ML, great to see you. You guys all know me. Kaufman, working on Scarecrow, and this belief that if you have a problem with your story, just put a dragon on it. You guys know me. I'm working on Scarecrow today and working on a crazy escape chapter, as I am less than 1 chapter from revising the midpoint. So we're going to see how that goes today. I have some other writer friends here. I'll let them intro themselves. Everyone knows Chatzel. Give it away.
Hey guys. So I'm participating in the August challenge, and I've been able to meet it and go well past it every day today. But today I'm working on my fan fiction, still continuing that, trying to work on pirates, but kind of stuck on a part. So giving myself a break from that today.
Awesome. And JL, welcome back.
Hello, I am JLD, author of A Spicy Romance. I just published this book about a week ago. The Seed Bearer is out and available. So I am between projects right now, and it's kind of like, a little brain break.
Awesome. That is so exciting to hear. I'm going to want to hear a little bit more about that. But first, Chris, I'll kick it over to you.
Hi, I'm Chris. I am a writer of teen YA young adult stuff. I will be working on, I don't know what I'm going to be working on today, but I also do tarot readings. So if anyone wants a tarot pull, super cool. And also, hi, Megan, and hi, ML. I'm seeing all the comments you guys saying hi to me.
Excellent. And I think that's so interesting. How do you guys figure out what you want to write, like, for the month? Or do you guys just pick like whatever project is next in like queue, or do you just like, I'm just gonna follow where my heart leads me?
I feel like I have to roll the dice right now. I've got 7 ideas, 7 books planned. They keep coming, and it's really it's irking me because I have a spin-off on this that I just came up with a cover for, and I'm like, okay, now I have to write a story for this cover because it's way too cool. But I do have like a bunch of stuff planned out, and I think it's going to be like where my inspiration, what my mood is.
Oh, and that's Joe. That's a really huge compliment. Whiteseer is saying they're currently reading the Seed Bearer. Would definitely recommend.
Aw, that's sweet. Thank you.
Very, very cool.
Can you guys hear me?
I hear you something in the background.
Okay, there's construction going on. I'm trying to mute myself when I can. So I wanted to say that I'm kind of in the same position as Jaylee. I've got like 12 different projects in my head, but also working a day job, and a day job is not helping me to get those 12 projects out. So I just kind of have to go with my intuition at the time. Just whenever I'm just sit down in front of the computer, I'm like, okay, so what's speaking to me right now? Just go for it.
I know for myself, it depends on, am I getting comments on a specific fan fiction I haven't finished? Or is a specific work just refusing to leave my head? And since I have so many projects that are ongoing right now, well, it just kind of more falls into what is refusing to leave my head.
Hey, by the way, welcome, Calvin. I saw you were hopping in and out with us.
Well, I was trying to get this damn mic working, so I finally just said screw it and reset my whole computer. And that seemed to clear the problem.
Yeah, sometimes you just have to hit the kill switch.
I think what's interesting is, Calvin, we were just talking about what projects how we decide like what to work on next. And I think all of these guys have like a huge like collection of projects they're working on. I know for me, you guys know that I'm been pretty dedicated to Scarecrow for a while. And Calvin, you kind of hop around between projects. How do you decide what's next?
I'm I've been working on the second Storm book now for going on 6-7 months. That's my primary focus, and maybe one day I'll commit to my fantasy story, but I don't give it the attention that I give Storm. Which actually I am on that cusp of getting finished, so I'm putting the fantasy on hold to finish this story. If I can get it finished through the month of August because I'm doing your 40K challenge, it'd be like, yes.
Yay, that's so exciting. And for anyone who doesn't know, right now during the month of August, myself and a bunch of other authors in the AuthorTube community are doing the author writing challenge. It's the 80K. Oh god, I always mix up numbers. 80K, 48K, and 18K. And essentially this is being put together by our fearless leader, Penumbra Mama Maggie. Basically an attempt to help people just be more consistent with their writing. Whether you want to aim for the 18,000 goal, the 48,000, or the 80,000 word goal for the month of August. It's really cool. And we're just trying to help writers just get back into a writing routine that works with their lifestyle, especially for a lot of writers who like take a break maybe throughout the summer. And now like we're already in August. That means fall is literally less than a month away. Pumpkin spice season is almost here.
Oh my
God. I know, right? School's already about to go back in session.
My kids are already back in school.
Oh, man.
My kid starts on the 12th. I can't wait. I've got the champagne ready.
Yeah, Ralph's has the Halloween candy out already, so it's already spooky season.
Nice.
I feel like the stores start putting out the next, like all the seasonal decor, like on July 5th. July 4th ended, and like July 4th, discount Halloween. People start thinking about Halloween now.
Yep.
July 5th is spooky season. Done.
Yes.
July 5th.
My sister loves Halloween, but she loves the date. She loves in November when everyone's trying to get rid of all their Halloween stuff, and she can get like a 20-foot animatronic on sale for like a third of the price.
Oh my god.
Oh man, I know some of the writers in our community. I know Lynn was saying I'm a single project writer and I have the next 18 months worth of projects all scheduled out.
Wow, that's organized.
And I'm very similar in that I used to hop between projects like you guys, like I would hop between multiple ones, but I think for me, like I'm a completionist. I'm kind of at a point where like I want to finish one project, get it all the way through, and then move on to the next one. Yeah. Now what the next one is I'm kind of debating, do I like Scarecrow book 2 or do I do some type of like writing help book?
I have another book that's finished and already went through betas. So I was hoping to get it out before Halloween because it is werewolf oriented. But since we're moving, there's no freaking way that's going to happen. It just makes me totally sad. But that's probably what I'm going to finish next. And then I might do a spinoff on Seedbearer. And then I'll pick what's next after that. I do have a big trilogy plan. So I'm trying to figure out if I want to get that started or wait a little more. I'm not sure yet.
Well, for everyone in the community, the one thing we do know is if for anybody who's needing a little extra writing boost, we are already in August, which means once we hit September, we'll start talking about Freaky Friday, the next writing our Halloween writing contest, which once again, flash fiction. I feel like we had a lot of fun with Faded Fantasy, and I am thinking through logistically what Freaky Friday, or second Freaky Friday, will look like this year. Yeah, that's all. Oh man, do you guys feel? I'm curious. Do you guys feel like it's easier for you guys to write like shorter stories, like flash fiction, short form content, as a way to like keep writing, or do you feel like it pulls your focus when you're working on other stuff?
I can't really write for the life of me, for like short stuff for the life of me. I mean, the fact that I did for Faded Fantasy was amazing. But if I'm doing less than 10,000, I'm not happy.
See, my brain,
the story. I have too many things. Like the plot starts taking on a life of its own, and then I think of this, and then I think of that, and then it's going to go here, and then I'm going to do this, and the characters are going to go, and it's I can't stop. And I love long projects. If I do a short story, it's because I literally need to write and I have nothing else to do, and that never happens. Or someone is challenging me with some kind of contest.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the middle of all you people because I like to. My brain works very TV oriented, and
Mhm.
so I write each chapter as an episode of a television show. So it's got 4 chapters within it or whatever, but the overall goal is to make 12 stories to make it one big book. So it's kind of like I write 10,000 words per story, but then
Mhm.
eventually it will become a 120,000 book novel.
Yeah, book of short stories. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Nice.
Chris, I absolutely love that, and I actually always recommend that to whenever I speak with newer writers and they're still practicing like storytelling and they're practicing growing their craft. I always recommend like work on the short form stories, whether it's flash fiction, whether it's short stories, and then revise them, refine them, and then put them together in an anthology. I think that's always a great way to get into like get yourself published, get your stuff out there, and then you can always work on bigger projects as well or in the future. I like that. I think that's really, really good. Let's see. And then I know Ashley said, I'm having a nightmare coming up with the plot for my novella. Have too many ideas on too many different genres. Don't know which is best. Oof. That's a tough one. When you have like competing ideas, you're like, which one is the right idea? Which one is the right idea for your story? Do you guys have a way of determining, like, okay, I'm at the next part in my story, or I'm trying to pick a story? Do you know how to choose like what feels like the right idea for you? I'm kind of curious.
You can
I'm
write.
I'm a
Answer
very much
this
sucker.
pretty
What
quickly because I actually had to do this today. I'm on the 10th story in my fanfiction series, the one I'm doing for therapy work, and I had to think of what today's story was going to be when I started it, and I was having a little trouble because the last one it ended on a really sweet note, but the next one was supposed to be a hell of a lot darker. And I was actually like walking around my house doing chores, and I was talking aloud to myself, and I was trying to think, okay, well, I know I wanted to have like this really dark theme to it. Well, considering this world and considering what part of the time I'm in and the characters involved, what exactly could I see them doing? Where can I picture them actually being on the map? And then I'm like, wait, I don't have to use a canon area. I can actually use an island I've made for my other stories. And then all of a sudden, I just had like, I think I had the entire story, well, most of it planned. I think before noon. It
Mm,
is now 7:20, and I am on chapter 4.
wow.
It's just basically I just walked around talking to myself, trying to just walk myself through that entire story. And and I've done that before, and if I wasn't able to walk myself through the story, then I'm like, well, okay, so I'm obviously not getting this. Either this is the wrong idea, or I need to look at something else. And most of
Mm.
the time, it's because it's the wrong idea.
Or
you
just
know what?
something that doesn't flow well. Oh, go ahead.
I need this to be defined though. Are you talking about idea as in what story idea, or are you talking about what plot point within the story?
I think she's talking idea.
Because
Well, I was
because
talking kind of both the plot
Oh,
points
okay.
and the general story.
Mhm.
well,
I
I was
basically what I've been trying to do is I've been trying to outline things for once. And it's actually been working. I'm basically thinking of, okay, so here's the entire story, and I'm going to break this up into, well, the beats, the acts of it. So I know kind of what's supposed to be in act 1. All right, well, since I have an idea of what act 1 is supposed to be, what are the major points that I want to see? And then I will get at least 2 or 3 points, and then sometimes that will inspire another point that I hadn't originally thought of. And then suddenly it's like, oh, this is actually a perfect end to Act 1, and this is about the 3rd chapter, so now I can think of Act 2. And I go and I do the same thing again. I think of the major beats I want to see. Sometimes it leads to more beats, sometimes it changes one, and then it happens again for the 3rd act, maybe the 4th act if that's how long it goes. So it starts out with the overall plot, the overall story theme, and then it just trickles down to the plot itself as I'm thinking of the major points.
I think what I was going for is when Kaufman brought up the question, how do you know what idea is the right one? And I'm just like,
Mhm.
until you write it, I don't know that you really know what is going to be the right one until you get those words that are out of your head, like on paper. I don't know that you will know that it's the right one. I don't know that there isn't even. I don't know that there is a right one. Like it's just kind of like what's right now.
Right now? Right now? Let me screenshot this right now.
That was not planned, by the way. But that's just kind of what I kind of get with it. It's just more like I like to take my worlds, the world's TV shows that I like, and I flip them, and then I'm just like, well, how can I make it my own? But I don't know. Like I still follow some of the same guidelines that they do and whatever. But it just depends on how I want to do it. Like the idea, just whether it's good or not, just the execution.
I think that she clarified that she was talking about like the overall story idea, like which story do you pick to write? And when you have a lot floating around, I like to kind of I'll pick a character or a scenario for that story, like each one, start with one and start seeing if you can play with it. Which one speaks to you the most? Which one starts to develop? When do you start hearing dialogue and seeing scenarios? And then all of a sudden you're like, that's the one. Or you go through a few, you're like, I'm not sure what to do with that. Next. Okay, next. I'm not sure about that one either. Okay, next. Okay, then, I could. It'd be really cool if I took this one and did that. Now you're on a roll. Sit down, write it down.
It's a problem when all 12 of your stories do all that.
It is.
In that case, you just get a spinner wheel, write on the ideas on a spinner wheel, and just spin away.
Yep, that's what you do.
So for those of you guys, because I know each of you have published your share of books, how did you guys decide for whatever, like let's say the last book that you published, how did you decide that was this journey that you wanted to embark on? For me with Scarecrow, you guys all know, I started as a short story about a scarecrow and a crow stealing his hat. And then after writing about 2 chapters, or no, maybe like 3 or 4 chapters, I stopped and I asked myself, what type of story do I feel like I want to tell? I want to explore a post-apocalyptic world. I want to explore themes like with memories. I want it to be an action adventure. And I asked myself, what are the types of things? And then I framed the world around the type of story that I wanted to tell using the initial setup of an intriguing journey. And that's just what worked for me with this book.
Nice.
So with mine, it's the short story that I wrote, Duncan, a Gay Teenage Witch. It's my version of Sabrina the Teenage Witch. And Sabrina was my show growing up, and I just wanted to give my inner child my own little like spin on it and give the future generations of the gay kids someone who's like just as paranoid about life as they are. It's still just magic oriented, not other oriented.
With the Seed Bearer, I had I do another show on Tuesdays with a friend, and we do all kinds of woo research and stuff. And we were doing a show on the Anunnaki, and their breed. It was like a 3-parter. It was really, really long. It was like 3 weeks for us to get through the whole thing. But there were so many male part jokes in this documentary that we were picking up on and making fun of. And then they started talking about breeding programs and stuff. And I went, oh, wait a minute. And I was having like a really bad bit of like brain fog and writer's block. And I was stuck. And all of a sudden, like after one show, I was like, nope. And I opened my computer. I was up till 4 a.m. like, I got it. An alien planet. Whee! It was really fun. But it's just amazing how sometimes the weirdest crap can just hit you. And you're like, I've got an inspiration. I've got it. Yeah. And you can just crank it out. I had that story written in 2 weeks. I couldn't believe it. It was awesome. Yeah.
How long was that story?
The one that I published?
Well, the one that you said you finished in 2 weeks.
Oh yeah, it's this one.
Oh. Go. Okay.
We've been waiting to just pull it out.
Ta-da! No, it took me several months to bring it to publish because I actually finished it last November, or either November or December, but I just had to like pace myself because then once you go so fast, you really need to take a step back, come back, and take it piece by piece. Make sure your editing is in place, all your plot beats are there. Did I script the dialogue? Because when you just pound it out, that's great, it's done. But now you really need to fine tune it, and so it took me several months to do that. Went through editing on all that stuff with my editor and beta readers, and took my time on that end. But yeah.
When I got my job in retail, I was really depressed. Still kind of am, but I'm getting out of it. I'm getting in a lot better space now.
Good.
I went to work and I came home and watched Vampire Diaries. I went to work and I came home and watched Vampire Diaries. I went to work and came home and watched. I came up with this idea for myself and I wrote the entire pilot and I sent it to 2 friends and like, I like it, but I think you need to write episode 2 to find out what comes next. So it came out in like 3 weeks. Like I had it out. I knew exactly what I wanted to do, and I did like the whole short story came out, 10,000 words, 4 chapters, episode 1, pilot, whatever you want to call it.
It feels so good when that happens, doesn't it?
Yeah. So now I want to go and write episode 2, but I have 12 stories I want to come out of my fingers at the same time, and I don't have 24 arms.
Just get and start it. Don't just tell the other stories I love you. I'll be right with you. Get in line, and I'm just going to look at this one right now.
Duncan number 2 is done. I just need to publish it. I just need to do all that. So it's like there's so many things because they're like, do it, Chris, do it. I was like, I don't have time.
I think, Chris, then the real way to determine that, and this is what I always ask myself, is what is your goal as a writer right now at this phase, right? So if the goal is like, all right, I want to be published, then you want to have a published series, then Duncan is the right way to go. If it's I need mental health and I'm like life is crazy and it's a positive outlet, then the shorter form is the way to go. And I think understanding the goal helps make the decision.
That makes sense. Maybe I don't know my goal.
And that's all right. I think a lot of writers don't. I think a lot of writers will hop into the storytelling because they get inspired, right? Like we write because we love to write without pulling back and thinking about like, okay, well, if I pull back and I think about the bigger picture for a second, just in terms of like the writing and the writing journey, then how do I want to navigate that?
Yeah, that actually makes sense because I found that this therapy fan fiction I'm doing, I've gone through this so much quicker than anything else I've done before. And all my other fan fictions, I love them. But it took me 8 months to finish a single chapter because I could not get past the character's point of view. And I loved writing the fic. People loved reading it. But it wasn't until I was writing something that actually meant something to me personally that, no, I could actually like sit down and write and not have to worry about, am I going to like abandon this basically?
Oh, man. Yeah. I mean, I think it's interesting. And I mean, I can tell even in the chat that we have a lot of different ideas for just like storytelling. I know Lynn said I can usually figure out during the outlining process whether or not it's the right story for me, which is kind of interesting because that goes into the 2 styles of writers or the 2 styles we've talked about before, right? There's the, I think if I remember our terminology, architects and discovery writers. I think that's what we.
I forgot about that.
I like that way better than pantsers and plotters. Discovery, architect.
What's the planter?
Pantser, people who just write.
No. It's our version of the planter. Architect and what?
Discovery,
right?
So discover actic. discover act.
An arcoverer.
A coverer?
An arcoverist.
I find that if it comes naturally and it's flowing, then go with that. And I have had a couple times in my life where I've had 2 books going because one stopped speaking to me, so I went over to the other one. I'm like, "Are you going to talk?" And it's like, "Sure, I'll talk." And so when we wrote a little bit, excuse me, and it's okay to juggle if that's your style. Then juggle, don't guilt trip yourself about it. I mean, eventually though, you do have to pick one thing to really focus on and shine and polish and get it ready. But if you need to go over here and go over there because you're just hyper creative, which a lot of us are, go do it. It's your style. There's no rules for a right or wrong way to write something or what idea to pick first. Just go with what goes naturally. But again, yeah, you will eventually have to pick and narrow down on one, and that one it'll make itself known.
I actually agree with that. I usually tell people to try to have at least 2, just because then if you at least get bored of one, you have something else to work on and you're not just sitting and doing nothing.
Yeah.
True.
Sometimes when you're writing the one, you just hit such a writer's block that you can't get around it. So it's nice to go work on something else and be like, okay, give me a break. That's why I work on a fantasy and a sci-fi. They're totally opposites. So it's like,
I was going to say bonus if you're doing dystopian versus romantic comedy because it's 2 completely different worlds.
Yeah, but one can still.
I wish I could get.
I
wish I could get romance or comedy down. I'm like, comedy is a struggle for me.
Comedy's hard. I do dramedy. Dramedy I can get, but comedy's hard.
I don't know. I've written things that were funny and I didn't intend them to be, and they're like, "This is hilarious." I'm like, "Oh, good. That's totally what was meant to be there. Yay!" I guess. And sometimes I just, things hit you. You know how you walk through life, something hits you, and you're like, "Oh my god!" That just do that as you're going through your book. All of a sudden, something will hit you. Don't hold back. Just let it happen. And if you want to take it out later, take it out. But let it happen. See how people react.
That's why you
And
save.
I think. What were you gonna say, Colin?
I was just gonna say that's why you save multiple versions.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for
I was
sure.
gonna say I try to be funny, but I end up being funny at work, and then next thing I know, I'm called to HR about my comedy routine.
I had an ex-boyfriend.
Workplace is a challenging one because you want to build up relationships, you want to be chill with people, you want to be cool. Until you work with people for a while, you don't always know how everyone is going to perceive comedy. Not everyone is going to be forthcoming about the way comedy is perceived.
Well, here's the thing. I work in a factory. I work in a warehouse, so you can imagine the conversations we've all had. I can see some of the conversations I've walked in on, and I've turned around, walked right back out, like, okay, I'm not being a part of this conversation.
My ex-boyfriend was like, "Why aren't you always quippy? You're supposed to be. You're a writer. You're quippy. You should be quick." I'm like, "I'm a writer. I change words constantly in my head, and I'm not quippy. I revise everything."
I was like, give me time. Give me time with this response. I'll revise it for you.
I'll have a joke 3 days later.
Not all of us can be Mark Twain and come up with the zingers like right away. I mean, most of us are stuck in our heads like a hamster on a wheel, going this word, that word, this word. Yeah.
I know. On all honesty, Chris, if your boyfriend said that to me, I would have been like, not all of us can be quick like you.
Oh.
And this is what gets
Now we're going back to Jaylee's her mentioning of men stuff on the things that she was
men parts. Yes.
Yes, man parts.
Calvin, obviously you just need a list of zingers if you're faster at coming up with comedy.
I have just made most people be like, I can't believe that came out of your mouth. We used to joke when I worked at Amazon that because we sat right next to a vending machine, we used to joke the cameras are all just trained on our table, just looking for reasons to pull us in to be like, okay, this is what we do not talk about.
I'm not surprised with that. Amazon and controlling everything.
Oh my god. Yeah.
By the way, I think WTC had an interesting question. I don't necessarily publish novels to the web, but do any of you guys have experience? WTC said, for those who write shorter fiction, are you creating web novels? And if so, what is your favorite publishing platform? Does anyone publish short stories to the web?
I have not, but there are a lot of platforms that you can look at, and honestly, it's per genre. So sometimes you might say this is a really great publishing platform, but they're more in the romance genre, or these guys are more sci-fi. So you want to look at your genre and see if you're a good fit. Some of them actually have people you can email and chat with, and they'll actually let you know if they think you'll be a good fit there.
Yeah, I've never done that before.
Magazines are also good if you're just looking to publish short stories. Magazines are always looking for short stories. I also publish on a website called Ream, which is like a writer's version of Patreon.
That's what I was going to mention.
Yeah.
Sorry, beat you to it.
No, it's all right. And there's another one that I know of called Royal Road. That one kind of seems more for I think it's geared more for fantasy romance kind of thing. It's been a while since I've been on that one, but I've used that one. I've used Ream, and I know there's another one, but I cannot think of the name off the top of my head.
What do you put? Are those like AO3s kind of ish?
Maybe a little bit. AO3 is just more with the whole fan fiction thing. Everybody, you can follow a specific author, you can subscribe to them, but with Ream and Royal Road,
it's more about being able to put your stuff out there, but then also being able to monetize it.
Yeah, you can have Calvin said with Ream, it's kind of like a Patreon. You can actually have a free tier where everybody can read your stuff, and then you can have a subscription tier, which is I don't know, $2 a month, and then people can read past chapter 3 of your book that you publish on there. And then a subscription 3, level 3 might be you can get a Q&A kind of thing with the author, or something like that.
Huh.
Everyone's got different tiers. I mean, I've done tons of research. Be like, okay, what are different tiers? But even then, I'll still just have $1.99 tier.
I wonder if that would be a good place to post one of my ideas just to get it out of my head.
I think
I mean, W2C mentioned a couple other known ones: Inkit, Wattpad, and Later Press. And I think what's always interesting is there's so many different platforms. There's a good number of platforms to choose from. I think it's understanding once again what your goal is and what you want in a platform. I know for me, I want to better understand a lot of these platforms, but my focus right now isn't on understanding platforms. My focus is get Scarecrow finished. But I hope in the future I can spend time exploring more of what platforms like these have to offer.
I would also say Fiction Press, but to be honest, don't publish on Fiction Press.
No.
Mm-hmm.
I published one of my short stories on Fiction Press, and every 10 minutes I get a message, "Hey, we'd like to make art." It's like, I don't want art. Why? Even if you put up something saying, "I don't want digital art, I don't want this, don't want that, please don't contact me," they'll still contact you.
They're freaking bots.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, as good as mods can be on certain sites, there's only so many of them, and they can't catch all the bots.
Yeah.
Awesome. On that note, my friends, this is an absolutely great conversation. Let's do a little bit of writing. So what we're going to do today, welcome everyone. By the way, if you're just hopping into the stream, welcome to our weekly writers group. We're just having some random conversations about writing, which we all love, but we also want to get some writing in as well. So we're going to start off with a super short writing sprint, 30 minutes. We're going to challenge ourselves, get into it. We'll come back, we'll take a break, we'll chat some more with our writers and kind of see what's on our mind. And then we'll see how much time we have for a second sprint, but let's get into it. And by the way, if you're enjoying the stream, make sure to follow and subscribe. We're here every day, Right Now community, almost 600 consecutive streams. And if you're looking for a writing community, this is the place to be. And if you're already a member, click that share button and help us bring more writers to the community. All right. And with that, let me throw up our writing sprint. I know everyone's working on some different stuff here. Here we go. And let me throw up the screen. By the way, I have a new playlist today. Just made a brand new playlist for y'all. So we'll see how we feel. I think when I first shared it before the stream started, Solar Jail, you're like, wow, that's I forgot what you guys like, wow, that's crazy. All right, so we'll see what we have on our mind, my friends. Let's push into a first 30-minute sprint. For those of you working in the joining us with the August challenge, let's push our word count goal. Let's see what we can accomplish. And I am all ready. So whether you're brainstorming, writing, editing, revising, author branding, or maybe you're procrastinating, come join us because it's time to write now. All right, and we are back. Wonderful, wonderful. What a nice first writing sprint. I felt pretty accomplished that one. I felt like in a given a short 30-minute sprint, I felt like I was able to get through a decent chunk of the chapter, did a partial revision, and let's say I got through about 500 words, give or take. So I'm happy with what I accomplished for 30 minutes. What did you guys accomplish? If you're in the chat, would love to hear. Drop a comment to get some words, maybe some ideas. Love to hear. What about the rest of you guys? How'd that sprint treat you?
I mean, I'm focusing on one of my ideas, and I was able to kind of outline what the next episode is. So that's cool.
Nice, nice.
Very cool. I'm working on my submission for your Fated Fantasy
Ooh.
book. So I've got the editing just about finished. I'm doing a little bit of a tweak to get it in there as you opened it up for us judges to play.
Yes, and as people are well aware, when we launched the Free Friday anthology, we came out with a couple editions of it. We came out with an edition for all of the writers, everyone who participated, and then we made a special edition that included some additional stories.
So cool.
It'll be super cool. It'll be what a great way to be able to highlight the writers in the community. What about the you guys, Calvin, Soul?
I got 1,000 words in.
Nice.
Bye.
No, Soul, you muted.
Didn't realize I was muted. I got about 1,000 words as well. At the end of a chapter, and I'm used to writing from animalistic perspectives, but not the way I'm currently doing. So it just could have gotten more, but trying to figure this out.
It's interesting that makes me think of a really interesting question. But before I do, I just want to highlight our other writers here. Susan, 350 words and counting on the challenge. That's just the first sprint. Wonderful, wonderful. Megan, 610. Lynn, 311. I'm glad you guys were able to get a little bit of words in yourself. It kind of made me think. So it's like, so I know you're working on animal POVs as well. I'm currently working on a crow POV. Have all you guys written characters that are POV from an animal before? Yes, no, maybe so.
Nope.
When I was younger, I did. I played around with animal casts.
They're fun, aren't they?
They were just like people. They were just animals talking like people. It wasn't anything different.
Do werewolves and vampires count?
Oh.
No.
Oh.
I mean,
Werewolves and vampires do not count as
say,
animals.
I would say those are like creature type, right? Creature as compared to an animal, right? Like a bear or a bird is different than probably like a werewolf. Or let's say wolf, werewolf, wolf animal, werewolf creature.
Then no.
Yeah, so I would say slightly different. Do you guys? I'm
What
curious.
about dragons? Just kidding.
Dragon is its own category.
Dragon is in that weird quasi space of not quite a creature, not quite an animal, not quite humanoid kind of thinking. So
Dragon is a creature, lizard is an animal.
Now, if it's a dragon lizard, that's something different.
I don't know what's going on there.
We're all animals. Humans are mammals. We're all animals.
Do you guys ever read stories or books with animals at all, or with like animal characters at all?
I feel
Or
like
your
this
cats.
conversation is leading into animorphs.
That cracks me up. No, I guess I was curious because I feel like, but granted, animals have been on my brain since I'm clearly writing animal POVs. I'm just kind of curious if you guys expect for animals to act a certain way in stories when you're envisioning anthropomorphic type animals.
I would think should reflect their nature, if they're a skitterish animal like a mouse, you would kind of want to reflect that in its mannerisms and dialogue. Unless you wanted to make them something more special in a magical world where they were an old mouse with great wisdom, like Nicodemus the rat, from The Secret of Nim, So, but you want to kind of reflect it, I think, in their mannerisms and speech.
When I wrote the first version of Duncan, I actually gave him a cat, and the note that I got from the writers group that I was in at the time was this cat sounds a lot like Salem, so I would probably take Salem out. My idea was not to write Salem. It was supposed to be a female version of Salem. I had a white cat until recently. She passed during COVID. She was a bitch. And I was trying to. Salem was annoying. Was an annoying man-child cat. I was trying to make her like the queen of the house, and it's just all the witches were just wrecking ball, like the animals. But apparently, she came off as more Salem-esque at the time. So I took her out, but I was trying to make her very prissy. I was trying to make her I like things clean because cats like to clean themselves. I was trying to make her wearing pearls, like she just really wanted to be like the queen of the house. I really wanted to try to embody that, and just like what you were saying before, I think it's like personalities kind of a thing. So I might bring her back, but I don't think having her at the beginning of the story probably was a little bit too on the nose for Sabrina kind of a thing. So I still might bring her back.
It might be fun to play with opposites too. Like people expect like a turtle character to be very slow, but you can make one that's very hyper and very speedy. The turtle, like it might be something a little different. Play around with it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, sometimes challenging that perspective can actually lead to some very interesting characters.
Sure.
Interesting. And like I know our like non-human types of characters are animals. Do you guys write any like a non-human type of characters in your work? So I know Chris, you had mentioned like werewolves. When I start playing out of like a non-human character, I know JL, the cover of your book literally has an alien. So safe to say, I'm assuming you have an alien in your book. And you've written multiple aliens.
Two books that have alien male leads, and one that I'm finishing up, which is the werewolf book.
Right.
So.
And then Calvin, I know you have aliens as well. So it's like when we start thinking of like non-human characters, how do you guys tell what direction to take them in? Like, do I make them more human? Do I make them completely non-human? I'm actually kind of curious. This is interesting.
I write mine like Superman. He's human already. I don't. I don't drift very far, obviously.
Or more like Salem, one of the two.
But with aliens, you want to consider their culture, and do they have tics or mannerisms that are normal for them, but not for us? I know, Calvin, you can speak to that a little bit because you did some of that in your own writing. Tell us about your race that you created.
Yeah, I mean, you listened to the one episode where the war chief and the doctor got into a fist fight, and it was just the doctor showing him like, "You're fine, you're healing."
You're healing. Let me hit you in the face. It was a great scene, actually.
I have one character that I haven't written her story yet, but she's kind of on the back burner in case I can finally figure out how to do it. But she is technically a humanoid, but she is loosely based off an anthropomorphic character, a furry, basically. But it's like Jaylee said, you got to base it off their culture. Sokol's culture is actually completely fleshed out. I have created her entire species, everything down to almost the atom, and she's very animalistic. But then again, so is her species, and they're just basically. I took humans, made them an animal, like what we would say is an animal, and then just kind of went wild from there, and it kind of became like its own thing. And it was interesting because I actually had to try to think, okay, well, she's got these creatures are humanoids, so they're going to have humanoid reactions. So like with the tics and mannerisms and stuff. But then I actually had to combine that with, wait a minute, no, they actually could be similarly sort of related to real creatures, so I have to add in that, and it just kind of made its own home. It's like its own unique thing.
It's kind of fun. I think that's kind of fun. I think that I always ask myself, like when I'm working on, obviously I've had my head so wrapped in animals, but as like how much of the culture of these characters, how much do I explore, and how much of an understanding do I, as the writer, have to be able to write the character effectively. Whether or not, like maybe you show all of it on the book, maybe you show none of it, but I mean, it'd probably come out in the way that you write their dialogue, in their actions, in their interiority. It's interesting.
I mean, even if you don't use their culture, you should write it out just to have it because
Mhm.
you never know when it'll come in handy, and you can even
Mhm.
use it for notes for yourself.
Hmm.
Oh yeah.
I mean, like I was telling JL when I wrote the Gardas, the soldiers all have the big meaty hands for crushing skulls, but the worker class ones they have very small hands for working on machines. Which anyone who's ever worked on any kind of a machine swears to God they build those things for midgets.
Lots of tight spaces.
Yes, exactly. My
Yeah.
dad would tell me. My dad would be yelling at me to get a pin setter fix, and I just look at him like, "Well, my hands are too big."
It's
Not a bad
interesting
problem
because
sometimes.
yeah, I mean, I think because then it goes into world building, and I think it's like, how do I find the right balance of world building to plot or character development? Do you
Yeah.
guys tend to focus more on like heavier like character development in your storytelling, or do you feel like you're more like plot focused?
Well, even if you're plot focused, your characters have to shine.
Oh yeah.
They've got to leap off the page. I mean, you want both, really. You want
Mm-hmm.
them both. Then now it's more of a is it a character study? That's when you're going very introspective and very
Mm-hmm.
detailed into the characters, or are you going to balance it out and move the plot along while you're getting to know these people and what they do?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then also, of course, your arc, so they have to have a challenge to overcome.
Yeah, trying to find that balance is just it's awesome. I say that only half sarcastically.
Well,
Uh,
that's really going to make you or break you as a writer is to find that balance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, and it's a lot like cooking. Like, okay, what does this need? I'm tasting it. Nom, nom, nom. Maybe a little more salt. Nom, nom, nom. Maybe a little more garlic. Nom, nom, nom. Oop, too much garlic. Crap. Let's see. Nom, nom, nom. What else can I put? Let me have a sugar in here. Just however you're gonna spice it, but you want that balance so everything tastes good, and you can highlight something here and highlight something there. I'm getting ready to make some soup, so I'm like, I want the beef to stand out, but I also want my vegetables to be crisp and delicious. So, layering your flavors is just like building your plot.
I was kind of just thinking like a way to kind of do it for myself is this because I'm a very grounded person and I also work a lot with magic systems. So the way that I kind of envision a lot of my stories as Earth. So that way, like the reader kind of already can picture Earth. Like
Mm-hmm.
they're already kind of, they have a ground level. And then
Mm-hmm.
once you get one or two chapters in, one or two stories in, and they're like, okay, we're here. Oh, there's a vampire. Let's go. And then we can kind of go off into weird la la land or whatever. But it's just like of course you're going to start with a vampire if it's going to be a vampire story. Because it's stupid to
Mm-hmm.
get all the way through the story and then be like, oh wait, there's a vampire at like chapter 47. No, don't do that. But like I like to ground it first as much as
Mm-hmm.
possible and just kind of like, oh, we're going to school. Oh, we're not going to school. Oh, we're at work. Or just kind of like use that as like a base, and then just as you learn more, just like build and grow kind of a thing. So that's I don't know if that's even on topic, but that is a process about how to maybe go about introducing different systems or different alienologies or whatever.
Well, I mean, I think that's a great strategy, right? So, because essentially, then for your world building, you're starting with foundation, right? Your foundation is realistic readers' expectations of right norms, right? What is Earth today? What is if you say somebody's going to school? We all know what it feels like to go to school. I'm assuming all of us went to school at some point in our lives.
I didn't.
Nope.
Nope.
Well, familiarity gives verisimilitude, which helps us relate to things. You have to have a nugget of the truth in
Mm-hmm.
your story that people can, that, like you said really nicely, to ground them. And when you're putting a story on a completely fantastical or alien world, yeah, you have to still ground it. We all still feel the same things, whether we're like my Tenorans in my Seed Bearer book live in a cave system. They're kind of
Mhm.
bat-like, so big ears, and their eyes reflect so much light they look like they glow,
Mhm.
but they still have very nice palaces. They still have a hierarchy. They still have, servants, and they like fine things. They like shiny things. So you have to give it that relatability, that verisimilitude to ground that story, and
Mhm.
but then you pick up some kind of quirk and make them more interesting. So they're very, very clean. We think of bats, we think of kind of dirty, icky caves. They're obsessed with cleanliness, bathe often, all the time, lots of perfume. They have a very strong sense of smell, so they like fragrance everywhere. And so you just have like different things you want to put into that. So whenever you just have an offhand comment from a character, it builds into that world and into the character too.
Do your
Mhm.
bats bathe in the blood of their victims?
No.
They bathe in something else. They bathe in.
They bathe
Just
in water and minerals and
just wonder. I mean,
a little bit of each other.
blood can be cleansing. It just depends on how you write it.
When I do my vampire book, which is coming up at some point, then yeah, I'm definitely gonna have a little bit of blood in there.
You said spicy. That's why
Oh
I-
yeah.
If she ever writes a non-spicy book, I'm going to have her committed.
I can't help myself. It's way too much fun.
Awesome. Well, I think on that note, my friends, let's get into another writing sprint. Let's hop into our second writing sprint and let's try to up our word count. So we'll get right back into it. Hopefully, we were able to get a little bit of progress in our last one. We did 30 minutes the first time. With our timing, we'll do another 30-minute sprint. So let's push. I'll recue the music. Whether you're writing, brainstorming, editing, or you're pushing forward on your word count goal, come join us because it's time to write now. All right, my friends, that is the writing sprint. Were you able to make any progress that time? I would love to hear. I definitely finished the next section in the chapter that I'm revising. What a crazy, crazy POV! It's Mr. Crow is one of the most interesting POV characters I've probably had to write before. How do you write a character that's crazy but has lost all of their long-term and short-term memories while still having them have a real character arc? Very very interesting challenge. Um,
You did this to
so,
yourself.
huh?
You did it to yourself.
Well, you want to know something interesting, Chris? When I first embarked on Scarecrow, because I do like challenges, I asked myself, what's one of the most difficult types of worlds or stories that I could create, and can I do it well? And that's one of the reasons I challenge myself to if I could do a world full of animals with little knowledge about animals in a story and world that is emotionally impactful. So I do. I love the challenge.
Yeah.
Okay,
I didn't.
that's the only way I grow as a writer.
Only way to go as a writer.
Sounds like a great idea for a first book, Kaufman. What's the hardest thing I could possibly do right out of the gate? Let me see.
Exactly. That just means every book afterwards will just be easier, right?
I don't. I
Sure.
I don't remember the meme or it's from Wizards of Waverly Place. But have you guys seen the audio of people doing this online where they go, "You mean I need to come up with a solution for the problems that I made all by myself?" Something like this. One of the main wizards obviously created a problem, and she had to come up with a solution all by herself. And so a lot of writers use this audio and like, "You mean I came up with an idea, and I need to come up with a problem, and I need to come up with a solution all by myself."
Yeah. The struggle is real.
I think also as a factor is like I think if I would never recommend writers embark on this difficult story as their first book. I think I've also probably written an upwards of 50 to 100 projects in my life, and I've been writing my entire life. That's why I feel confident in my writing skill, but not very many published, right? So it's like this is the first one I'm embarking on publishing.
Does make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, I have to admit, yeah, no, you're right. They should not go this difficult in their first book. But at the same time, where's the fun in writing easy?
True.
Oh, yeah, that's how I feel.
Yep.
Man, were the rest of you guys able to make some progress though? I know I saw Megan at 1227 words.
Nice.
I got a few hundred in.
I changed my time setting again. Speaking of writing yourself like problems and having to solve them, I'm like, okay, I went from futuristic to World War II, and then I'm like, oh, this is dumb. I hate everything about this. No, okay, we're just gonna go back to medieval. That's fantasy realm. Yay, okay. Wait, how do I do this now? Ah.
I found the quote. It's, "So you're telling me that I have to come up with a solution all by myself to a problem that I created all by myself? Well, that's not fair."
This is why we have support.
Yes.
Well, friends, I really appreciate you. We need to wrap up the stream now. So everyone, thank you so much for joining us. This has been an absolutely great writers group. JL, Chris, Calvin, thank you guys for joining us this week. So I'll see you next week. I appreciate all you guys. As always, everyone, thank you for joining us in the chat. Thank you for joining the conversation. We'll be back next week with our writers group. Same time, same place. 4 Pacific, 7 Eastern, right here on the stream. It's been great. I'll see if I can do this. I'm Kaufman, and this is
Chat Soul.
And these guys
This
are
is Chris.
This is JL.
That way.
Calvin.
And we'll catch you on the next stream. Take care, my friends. Stories are forever. I'm Kaufman, and I'll catch you on the morrow. Stay creative, writers. It's time to write
Right now.
Sorry.
Right now, not right now, but right now. Read now, right now. Is that right?
Words are wind, but stories are forever.